Oh no, my tape has gotten all tangled up. Whatever will I do? Haha, I'm just kidding. Compact cassettes are so incredibly well designed that it's impossible to get to this level of spaghettification provided you know how to use a cassette tape. Even if you don't know how to use one, you probably couldn't get it this bad. This is Tape Tips, a new series I'm considering where I share some of the tools and tips and tricks of analog media, in particular VHS and compact cassette. That said, why have I done this, you might ask? Well, I'm not going to let all this tape go to waste. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use this tape to create some really nice lo-fi sounds. These days lo-fi is big. Take a look at your lo-fi playlist, your chill beats to study and relax to. And with compact cassette you can create a great lo-fi sound, or this is also great for if you want to make a recording sound really old or vintage. Like for instance, if you're working on an ARG and you want to make a recording of something sound like it's from the 60s or before, even though compact cassettes didn't exist before the 60s, but suppose you have an artifact that you want to make sound like it's from the 60s. Here's what you do. First, screw open your compact cassette with a screwdriver. Then you're going to want to pry that baby apart, take out the reels, and cut off the tape. Just cut it off on both ends, and then you're going to want to just like take it off the spools, and you're just going to want to like crinkle it up. Just give it a good old crinkling. Don't worry about folding it. Don't worry about, looks kind of like a pom-pom or tinsel. It's really fun. Really fun to mess around with. Now, again, and keep in mind that depending on how much you fold up or crinkle up the tape, it's going to get more and more distorted with every fold. So, depending on how many levels of distortion you want, about 10 seconds of this if you really don't want too much distortion, about a minute of it if you want some good old-fashioned distortion. Another type of distortion you can add is you can kind of stretch the tape. If you really want to get freaky, that'll change the amount of ferric oxide particles per inch, which gives a really weird type of distortion, which I kind of like, And all that said, what you're going to want to do next is untangle the tape. So essentially you're going to take one of the ends of the tape, you're going to glue or tape that on to one of the reels. Then you're going to screw the entire cassette shut with one of the reels inside, only one of the reels. The other end of the tape you're going to keep out of the cassette. Now you're going to slowly untangle this mess and like re-reel the reel that's in the cassette back in with a pen or a pencil or whatever have you. It takes a couple days when you're at this level of like pasta salad tapeness to get it back in, but once you do, it's very satisfying, and what you'll have essentially is a very distorted tape that you can then use for all kinds of like distorted recordings that you don't want to sound good. This is the best way to create some distortion. Keep in mind that if you're getting messy with this, you will want to check the heads on your cassette deck. You'll want to kind of clean them and check out that nothing gets messy in there. Probably won't, because ferric oxide particles are very hard to rub off, even if it's really folded and stretched and all manner of things. But the great thing about cassette tapes, and in particular compact cassette ferric oxide type 1 tape, is that it is essentially like an organic material. And by organic, I don't mean like, compostable or whatever. This is not compostable. Please reuse this. Don't waste this. Even if it is all tangled up, please, use it. Put it to good use. Make weird things out of it. This is like paper, but for your voice and for sounds. And it is very valuable in that way because you can create organic sounds that you can't create using a computer-generated voice filter or music filter or vocoder or any of that newfangled stuff. With cassette tape, you can essentially create all kinds of organic, real sounds. And in that case, you can kind of use tape like a musical instrument, which is pretty cool. So that's this episode of Tape Tips. Let me know in the comments if you want to see more of these. I think there are a lot of cool tricks that I've kind of been messing around with tape with, and it can be fun to kind of check out and give a try. So, that said, keep in mind that if you don't know how to use a VCR or tape deck, you are technologically illiterate. So, learn how to use analog media, and analog media will do great by you. I mean, remember, don't do this if you want, a good clean recording. Keep your tape in its cassette. But for splicing, the more complex stuff, is how I do it. So
I am sick in the head, oh yeah, something is wrong with me. I'm acting like it's 2003, I'm nostalgic for a time I wasn't even alive. Well, I guess I was alive, but not really. I am sick in the head, oh yeah, something is wrong with me. I'm acting like it's 2003, I'm nostalgic for a time I wasn't even alive. Well, I guess I was alive, but not really.
tape tips. Tips for tape all the time. That's about it for this episode.